Welcome back everyone, Toy Shiz here, and we are back yet again for another Hasbro Marvel Legends video. Today, we have the entirety of the brand new retro-carded Spider-Man toy line, of which there are some great characters here. There are some interesting figures. We got some duds, but regardless, it's a nice smattering of characters that if you are a Marvel Legends fan, a Spider-Man fan, there's bound to be something here for you. First and foremost, as a huge Spider-Man the Animated Series fan, this is definitely a character I have been waiting for. It is the Chameleon, and he looks absolutely fantastic. I do have my nitpicks though, of course, but in totality, the packaging, everything has that retro throwback flair. You've got some great illustrations from Harry Moore Design. It's fantastic. It's fun. It's what it should be, except for the fact that he has his comic book origin and not the animated series' origin. I'm just flipping my desk over here. But here's every single character that we will be talking about today. And here's the barcode. Mine came from Target, except for Kaine and Francine Fry. Those came in from Amazon, so they're starting to hit store shelves. But if you're interested, I will put links down in the description below, make it easy for you to grab. We also will be checking out the newest Agent Venom. This is the 2025 version as opposed to the older version. Don't worry, it's in the video. We also have the Spider-Man Unlimited figure. More on that in just a few. Bailey Briggs, the Spider-Boy, definitely a character I had to do some research on. Definitely interesting, but not as interesting as Francine Fry. I was a little on the fence about this one, but just wait. There's some interesting things here, but much like the Chameleon, I have been waiting for Kaine. That really brings that 90s Maximum Clonage saga, and I loves it. So this is going to be an absolute blast. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is a look at the entire new Hasbro Marvel Legends retro-carded Spider-Man line. Here we go. All right, so we are going to kick things off with Spider-Man Unlimited. And I will tell you this, I'm going to go from my least favorite figures to my most favorite here. So, fortunately for Spidey Unlimited, he is on the bottom. Not because I didn't care for the show, not because I was bamboozled one year at San Diego Comic-Con into thinking that this is Spider-Man, the Animated Series Part 2, but it's just because it's a little boring, unfortunately. All you get is hands, wall crawling, web thwipping. It's kind of the usual, and after a while, extra hands, to me, they're not really counting as much for accessories, if at all. The problem with this Spider-Man Unlimited is something that everyone will immediately recognize. This is a character in animation that heavily benefits from heavy black line work, much like Batman Beyond. If he doesn't have that gray on his face, it looks weird. It's the same thing with Spider-Man Unlimited. If he doesn't have those heavy black accents, it just doesn't work. Now, years ago, I took a previous, we'll say, Marvel Legends Spider-Man Classics, what's supposed to be Spider-Man Unlimited, and painted the face a little bit and put plastic cape on his back, basically. That was as good as I could do for customizing, but you immediately see the difference. It's not that great, we can all agree. There is some great things happening with this figure here, which is kind of sad that they didn't push it all the way because he has some great sculpted details, all of which are very important for this type of character. I don't think that his very translucent web cape, the digital web cape, it doesn't really translate well to this type of clearish plastic. It just becomes sort of an afterthought, and that's really where I'm at with this figure. This should have been and could have been so much cooler because, yes, I will agree, the suit from the cartoon is cool, but you have all this sculpted detail, you have everything going for this. You really went the whole 9 yards here, and then when it came time for paint, they were like, nah, we're good. So from far away, the reds, the blues, everything, it's like, yeah, is that Spider-Man? Is that Spider-Man Unlimited? It's just kind of weird. So that's where, again, I'm at with this character. The red is not exactly the red that I would have chosen. It's much too dark, more of a burgundy than it should have been a lighter, sort of glowing kind of red. I think that would have been a much better choice. But again, with all this terrific sculpted out details, the paint definitely suffers here from what paint that he does have. And you're going to kind of see this throughout the entirety as we look at this complete wave. It's cool in some sense. A lot of people are going to take what I'm saying and go, you're being too critical. I don't think I'm being too critical at all, because I see the potential for this figure. If they would have added all those black accents, or at least on the face, something like that, I think it would have been a home run. But as it stands right now, this is definitely the dud of the wave, where it should have been one of the best in the wave. And just to put this out there, because I know a lot of you are still hoping and wanting, Spider-Man Unlimited is not the sequel to Spider-Man the Animated Series. It is completely its own thing. It may share some similarities. It may even start off the first 5-10 minutes of the show making you think it's Spider-Man the Animated Series. But as we all saw in X-Men 97, no, Spider-Man Unlimited has nothing to do with Spider-Man the Animated Series other than being a complete waste of time. Now, moving on, we have Agent Venom, which is a step in the right direction from what we just saw from Spider-Man Unlimited. However, I will tell you this. For as much commotion as this figure apparently made, I heard everyone saying how great it is, I honestly believe it's a departure from the old Walgreens one that we got years prior. Now, he does come with some extra claw hands. Seemingly, these are new hands. They do have the white painted square on the back. You can tell that the fisted hands are new because it does have that longer fingernail. So these are definitely for Agent Venom. Keep a good eye on these guns for later in the video, just FYI. But this is the bigger type rifle gun that Agent Venom comes with. There's no paint on it. This extra head portrait doesn't do anything for me. In fact, it's gotten to that point, even when you watch MCU movies and everything else, when they continuously take their masks off, their helmets off, it drives me nuts. I don't understand this new fascination with wanting, and even coming packaged as an unmasked character. Where is the fun in that? It honestly drives me nuts. And no, I don't think that this head portrait looks good. He's got this weird Justin Bieber thing going on. It just doesn't match with what I think about for Flash Thompson. Even when the portrait is on the body, it's so jarring and weird. It doesn't do it for me. So no, in totality, with the look of Agent Venom, it just doesn't fit. Now, in looking at the actual action figure, Agent Venom is a very black and white character. He's all black plastic, he's got some white details for the spider symbol, and he's got a silver belt buckle. That is the extent of the paint. It kind of works, kind of looks good from afar, but all those details, everything in the armor gets lost, it gets muddled, and that's unfortunate because it's a well-sculpted action figure, but it doesn't really do much to really elevate itself in the fun factor. There's some great articulation. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be Marvel Legends articulation. There's nothing crazy here. But it's missing some of that chutzpah that the original Walgreens release had. And I know that they've said that that was working off a previous draft and this is what Agent Venom is, so they can finally kind of fine-tune it. That's fantastic. I totally dig that. And I love that he has some weapon storage this time around. That looks pretty cool. He has a little minigun. Again, remember the weapons for later on in this video. If anything, I love that he has weapon storage. Very cool. I would think that that's something that Agent Venom would have. Unfortunately, though, for what little paint that this figure has in the white, it really is muddled. It ends up looking like whiteout. It's not applied very well. It's almost like a customized figure in some elements of the white spider symbol. The feet, the boots, all the protruding lines, everything that makes it that symbiote armor for Agent Venom, it's all there. But why? Why does it look so boring? Why is it so lifeless? And it's because it's just plain. There's really not a lot going on, and it's really the accessories, maybe parts of the symbiote that could have really elevated this figure. Like I said, when you look at the prior released Agent Venom and the Agent Anti-Venom, because yeah, that was totally a thing, this one is too small. He doesn't look like Agent Venom to me. And for me, because of the size of the figure, because it's not very bulky, it's not very exciting, it loses the excitement. All those wild whipping symbiote tendrils, that would have been amazing to have. And yes, if you were wondering, you can swap out the head portraits between old figures and new. So if you wanted to do that, most definitely. I wouldn't push the Flash Thompson head portrait all the way down on the old body though, just as an FYI. moving on. We have Bailey Briggs, the Spider-Boy. When they announced this, I immediately went, I don't know anything about this character. But I did my research. And growing up with Toy Biz and into Hasbro and all the Marvel characters I've collected over the years, that's where you can have some fun. You learn about a character that you've never known about. He comes with web-thwipping hands, which, as I learned, he's really known as the webless wonder. He doesn't have web shooters. He used to have web shooters that was given to him by Otto Octavius when he was in Peter's body, but he has no webbing either to thwip around. But he does come with a really cool extra head portrait. This is when he gets all spidery because he's a human spider hybrid. That's the whole situation behind this guy. I like all the multiple eyes on the mask. That's cool. The teeth are out. That's fun. This actually gives some personality to this figure, which, as you're soon going to see, is kind of lifeless. There's not much going on. There's not a whole lot of sculpted details except for on the mask. The mask is cool. The red and the gold amidst the blue totally pops out. Totally is cool. Down to the tennis shoes. For when they teased this figure, they showed the tennis shoes and everybody kind of got it. Because I didn't know Bailey Briggs, I had no idea. They're counting the backpack as an accessory, which, okay, I guess it's something that's part of the costume, but hey, at least it's detachable and it's painted nicely. The articulation is going to be pinless. It's going to be great. It's all that Marvel Legends articulation you could ask for, but I'm going to talk about the paint again. The paint, the plastic, the red, the differences between the plastic and the paint is very noticeable when you have this figure in hand. It may not show up on camera, which, as I'm seeing right now, it doesn't look to be, but the reds are so distinctly different that it makes you go, man, that is something that really stands out. How did this happen? How did they miss this? So going forward, that would definitely be a thing that I think Hasbro needs to work on for their Marvel Legends line. Down to the shoes right here, of which you see that the back part of the sole is the plastic from the rest of the characters. So it's the same red, whereas I would imagine that would be a different red to really differentiate it because it just looks like a glove going over his foot instead of a boot. It's weird. And there's not a lot of detail to them either. It's very flat. And overall, this figure falls flat. But to me, it's more fun than Unlimited and Agent Venom. He's a new character. He's someone that I had to learn about. So he kind of gets extra points in that sense. As another Spider-Man character, which has nothing to do with Hasbro making it by any means. But like I said, it's another Spider-Man character of which Manhattan is just crawling with Spider-Man characters. Peter Parker's going to have to start throwing around some copyright infringement notices, that's for sure. Everybody's a Spider-Man character these days. But like I said, he's fun. He reminds me of old figures, that's for sure. A lot of, let's say, Ultimate Spider-Man, heck, even manga Spider-Man, that was a fun figure back in the day. He has those little nuances that's definitely what it reminded me of. If you wanted to pair him up with the Superior Spider-Man, looks good. As long as he's shorter, he's on that teen sort of Miles Morales body, totally works. So these all do scale nicely. But if you wanted him just as a Spider-Man sidekick, heck yeah, totally cool. And again, I absolutely love that fangs out head portrait. Now, moving on to a character of which when they revealed her, I went, I'm going to have to do a lot of research on her. But I quickly found out that she's interesting. I do have some other characters in my collection that she can go with. And now I would like to build more of the Sinister Syndicate, of which Francine Fry is definitely a part of. She comes with extra fisted hands. This is the thing that I really think they need to start changing up for the female characters. They either come with fisted hands or the outstretched hands. Jean Grey knows what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, the fisted hands for this particular figure look really weird. They look kind of midgety. Doesn't work at all. It looks like she's got a little baby deformed hand from Scary Movie 2, right? This looks cool, though. I do like that they gave her some really cool blue electrical powers. This is where this character jumps up in the popularity for me. It went from low, low, low to now high, high, high. Because she comes with two distinctly different electrical pieces. I love it. So when you pose her out with her powers, with all this electricity, that looks cool. That is showing off a character that has super villain tendencies right there. I absolutely love that. In looking at the actual character herself, it is every bit the female Elektra. There's not going to be a whole lot to talk about here. She kind of has that same thing going on that Spider-Boy has, from the odd yellows every which way, the painted yellows to the plastic yellows, although it's not as noticeable, so that's kind of a bonus. But that, again, the paint. Hasbro likes to go out of their way to really talk about how this is pinless, this is updated, this is new body mold and everything else. Maybe we focus on paint applications. They've really done wonders with the faces, especially the female faces. But when it comes to matching plastic to paint, perhaps that could be something that we work on in the future, because a lot of these yellows, like I said, from the gloves to the forearms, perhaps the application of the color yellow could be improved upon. Much like white, if you're painting a character that comes out in a certain color, maybe we can work on the yellows being a lot brighter, a lot more in line. There's no gaps, there's no bubbles, nothing like that. These are all things that I would like to see going forward as prices start to go up. I want to see better paints. I think they've started to add more accessories, which is a plus, more powers, but the extra hands, let's kind of take a break from that. Head portraits, always wonderful. But like I said, as a figure that when I immediately saw her and I went, I guess we'll see what happens, I'm happy to say Francine Fry is actually quite cool. Now, her origin story is interesting. The original Francine Fry was kind of a groupie for Electro, and he accidentally killed her, but then later on, the Jackal brought her back as a clone, and she took Electro's power, so that's why she's got the whole electrical thing going on, of which she is part of the Sinister Syndicate along with the White Rabbit and the female Beetle. And going forward, I would love to see Scorpia and Lady Octopus, provided that you do both Lady Octopuses, especially the 90s one with the pink koosh ball hair thing going on. That's pretty cool. Also Stunner. Okay, I'm getting off topic here, but Hasbro, if you start a team, you gotta finish a team, because we have so many teams open. It is insane. Let's get going on finishing some teams. Now, moving on to Kaine. Obviously, you know which figure is going to be my favorite of the group, but this is the figure that I've been asking for a while. Some years ago, I did, here's my top 10 Marvel Legends I want to see made. Kaine was definitely on the list, and here he is. This is pretty cool. His only accessories are his Mark of Kaine hands, we'll just say, which don't do much. They're just extra hands. Kaine himself, what I like that they did here is that if you're a fan of comic books, you can clearly see that this is directly taken from this image right here. There you go. There is Kaine. He's got the windswept cape. He's got all the horrid scars. Well, it's actually his suit that keeps him from degenerating even more, or perhaps they've changed that now. But in either case, I think that in totality, they've actually did a great job. So for that, I am most appreciative. Now, of course, I'm going to have my 2 cents, as I usually do. I really like the face portrait. I like that you can see that there's a mouth underneath. That's really integral for the character of Kaine. He has this brown hair, of which the character definitely has, but this would have benefited so greatly from a wash. His hair looks like a wig that I put on it. So that's the problem that I have with that. Although I do like the cape. I like the little strap underneath. It's very windswept. But again, like I said, a little bit of a wash would definitely go a long way. All the different scars, all the weirdness of his suit, those are all there. So for that, heck yeah, I think you nailed it. Even down to all the spikes that are on his arms and his legs, those are cool. The one area that I think it misses for me are the feet and the hands. All that scarage, all the weird wet web look is not on the hands. And I just got done talking about this with a NECA figure where the whole figure is covered in scratches, but the hands aren't. So that again is something that it just kind of breaks the figure up too much. Let's focus more on getting everything textured if we're going to go this route. In terms of the paint, the look, you also have that Marvel Legends articulation. He's very 90s. He's very much Kaine. Go very easy on the knees. I don't know what it is with Marvel Legends recently with the knees and all the pinless joints. They're very stuck. Nothing that seems like it's going to break, but you can never be too careful. You don't want to pull a new figure out of the box and have something snap on you. And I can honestly say it did not. He has some great ab crunch action. Everything else about him looks pretty cool. So this is definitely one that I am stoked on. And would you believe it? The two Kaines right here are actually the same character. So 90s Kaine and then repurposed, repackaged. Let's do something different. Scarlet Spider Kaine. This Kaine has all the powers of the other. It's kind of like, well, it didn't work for Peter Parker. Let's put it into Kaine. But I gotta say, this is definitely the money shot for me. Kaine, Spider-Man, Jackal, Ben Reilly, and, well, Ben Reilly, but it's the Scarlet Spider, the good Scarlet Spider. But to have all these characters, updated articulation, paint, everyone's the right proportion. This is a lot of fun. I love this. It's so 90s to me. We just need Spider-Side, which I hope they can call him that because of the whole twist on words and everything else. But Hasbro, if you're listening, we need Spider-Side. Now, to get into the very last figure, lo and behold, who's it going to be? It's the Chameleon. But we're going to have some fun here with this guy because I'm going to very much play into, this is definitely Spider-Man the Animated Series' Chameleon. There's no questions about that. But there are some things, there are some choices that they made to kind of maybe flesh out a previous Chameleon that you have in your collection. For this particular figure, though, you get some extra fists. They're all white. Totally works. That's cool. Remember I said about Agent Venom, take notice of the guns. This is a bummer for me. You get the exact same weapons, although the Chameleon's has a little bit extra paint on his, as Agent Venom has. And to me, that's boring. In the same wave? To me, that's just like, oh, come on now. You even get the small little blaster. So there's nothing important here. It's just reuse after reuse. There's no thought. There's just like, how do we pad the box? And that's, for me, when you have Spider-Man the Animated Series. And there are a lot of people out there that love this cartoon. When you know what the guns look like, with the importance that they had to use blaster pistols and they couldn't use real weapons except for one key episode, why not just do that gun? You also get a mask. Now, for those of you that know Spider-Man the Animated Series, this is obviously J. Jonah Jameson. This is obviously the comic book look for him. But the Chameleon of Spider-Man Animated didn't use masks. It was the image inducer belts that he's clearly wearing. So this would be good for what? Just as a, oh, we'll put this in the box? Why not have an extra image inducer to put on a different character? You can use this mask for your prior release years ago, Chameleon. You could definitely do that. Have him hold it. That's pretty cool. I totally get that. It totally works. But if we're going to be fleshing out this figure for Spider-Man the Animated Series, this Chameleon needs cartoon-accurate weapons. I will say this, though. They absolutely nailed the look of this. This has been a long time coming, and it's fantastic. Now, depending on moments of the animated series, he does have yellow eyes. Sometimes they're just all yellow. Sometimes they look like a Werther's original, that kind of thing, like an amber gold sort of deal. This Chameleon, it's kind of an in-between kind of thing. I wish that they maybe have focused more on the eyes, made them more prominent like they did. He has the image-inducing belts. He's got the bluish-purple costume with the red boots and the gauntlets and everything else. Overall, I honestly think they rocked it. I like that the image-inducing belt is removable, but it also comes with the shoulder pad. And that to me is where I'm going to say I might grab another Chameleon if I see it in stores and do a little snip. And that way you could just have the belt all by itself and you could put it onto other characters if you like. But again, Hasbro, why not just put that in the box? Why not give him his little candy bar looking gas thing that he uses to put it right in Spider-Man's face and knock him out? Any of that, any of those accessories would have been fantastic. The articulation is through and through Marvel Legends. So there's nothing crazy, nothing new. Go very easy with the knees. Again, I don't know what's up with that. It must be all that new pinless tech that they've been utilizing. But cannot tell you how happy I am to have this version of the Chameleon. It's one that will always stand out to me. And that's partly because of the Toy Biz days, obviously. Now, this is kind of fun. And I did have some people say, like, why didn't he come with extra head portraits? Well, you already have all the head portraits in your collection, especially the one that the old Toy Biz Spider-Man the Animated Series Chameleon came with, so you can swap him out with J. Jonah Jameson, or Spider-Man, or Venom. Love that part in the episode, Day of the Chameleon, when he turned into Venom. But this is, again, the money shot for me. Now, this is the second iteration of the Insidious 6. Towards the end of the show, just FYI, because they have not yet made the correct Mysterio. They haven't yet made the correct Shocker either. Let's be honest there. But if we're replacing Mysterio with the Vulture, we got Chameleon, Doc Ock, Scorpion, Shocker, and Rhino. We have the Insidious 6 version 2, almost. Let's change out the Shocker, but that looks amazing. So that's going to wrap it up for my look at the brand new wave of the Hasbro Marvel Legends retro carded Spider-Man the Animated Series line. For me, like I said, I think the character selection is there. That's fun. But when it comes to achieving the certain looks, the tendencies, the accessories for these characters, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Kaine and the Chameleon, fine. They look great. Francine Fry was surprising to me. But the rest, and pretty much throughout the entire wave, problems with the paint, problems with a clear direction. That's really where I'm at. So you've heard my thoughts, and now I'm curious to know yours. Comment below, let me know. Let's talk everything Spider-Man the Animated Series. And until the next one, I will leave you guys with that. Adios.